voters in Mount Pleasant on Tuesday will head to the polls to vote yes or no on parks. Today, I talk one-on-one with Mount Pleasant Town Council member John Iacafano about the referendum for recreation in Mount Pleasant for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Mount Pleasant Town Councilman John Iacafano, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Good morning, Quintin. How are you doing today?
Doing great, actually. I know that you have been busy, obviously, with your business and also town business as well as a town council member. And I know as far as tomorrow is election day, and obviously you had a lot of people early voting. But the big topic right now in Mount Pleasant is about the recreation referendum. That it is. It is a $50 million recreation referendum that includes expanding town tennis courts, adding bike paths, and obviously preserving land. About 10 years ago, Mount Pleasant and Charleston County Parks purchased 245 acres on Rifle Range Road. The intent was for it to be used as an active and passive park space. Town officials say the project has already been approved under the Mount Pleasant Capital Improvement Plan, but the funding has been lacking. Let me ask you this. So what are the tax implications of actually voting yes versus no on this?
Tax implications, and I hope you can see my video. You froze up on me a second. So let's talk about tax assessed value. You've got real estate assessed value and tax assessed value. Your taxes come from your tax assessed value, your county tax assessed value. So a $500,000 county tax assessed valued home would be approximately an $80 annual increase on your taxes. $20, every millage rate on a $500,000 tax home, every one millage rate equals $20. This is asking for a 4 millage rate increase. 4 times 20 is $80. Also, people are talking about their taxes like boats and cars. Mm-hmm. Well, with the county tax assessed value of your home is approximately 32% of your total tax bill. Okay? When it comes to properties like cars and boats, that's approximately 14.5%, 15% of your tax bill on those items. So $20,000 tax assessed vehicle or boat would be approximately $5 annually in increased taxes.
That's right. And I know
this tax referendum ends, by the way. That was a question you had. Sorry.
Oh, no worries, and I'll get back to that in a second. But I know the 5-year reassessment for property taxes is coming up again. The average real property value and corresponding property taxes and the government's revenue are going to increase, likely by the maximum 15% allowed by the law. Can't you all just let this 15% fund the desired 10%?
Well, wait, repeat that 15%.
Yeah, can you let
10%? What was the question?
Yeah, can you just let the 15% fund the desired 10%?
Well, so this is now, right? This is doing everything at once. Right. So if you build one field and then you come back and build another field and then you come back and build another field, what is the quantity of scale here, right? I mean, how many times do you come back and build and build and build? What is that going to cost over 10, 15, 20 years to do that? Now, when you talk about tax reassessment, the thing about that is we have to understand is we have a fixed value here. Right. This is a $50 million loan. This is a fixed value. So I've had people ask me that. They said, John, when it gets reassessed, the 4 mills, let's say my reassessment, the 4 mills is $80 right now. I get reassessed and that 4 millage rate now becomes $85. Well, that would be like you paying an extra $100 on your mortgage towards the principal. You would pay down your mortgage quicker. This isn't this doesn't go on forever. It stops. So therefore, when you're dealing with a fixed value loan, you come in and say, Mount Pleasant's AAA rated. We have excellent credit. We'll just use a figure like 3.75%. So you go $50 million over a 15-year course at 3.75%. 3.75%. That gets put out to market. The market comes back and says, we'll give you 3.75. We take the best rate that's available. We'll assume, I'm just assuming a number, 3.75. We use that number. It's fixed. That's it. 3.75 is a 15-year loan, just like a 30-year mortgage, just like a 15-year mortgage. So when that reassessment comes out, you either you would put that towards the principal, which pays the loan down either quicker. Well, that would be quicker because you would be upping the payment.
Right.
Right. So people are correct. Right. If it gets reassessed, that 4 mils now equals $85 or $90. But the thing is, with council, you could vote something through with 5 votes, and it's open ended. Right. So if we go to council this Tuesday, obviously the agenda's already been set for tomorrow, but you could go to council, put this on the council agenda, go through reading 1, go through reading 2, and we have enough room that we could raise 4 millage rates right now. Now, so that would just pay for the project slower because the money would just come in annually and not as one lump sum, but it would also be open-ended, and it would also not define. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to just ask you this. Okay, say hypothetically, can you all extend it?
Extend what? 15 years?
Yes, sir.
No, okay. So what came out was, and I could send you an article that 6 council members have signed off. The Post-and-Courier would not run it, run the op-ed because they felt that the opposition and those for and those against had already gotten a fair share amount of editorials written. Even though we didn't get an editorial, we got 2 op-eds, and the opponents got an editorial and an op-ed, but that's fine. We have 6 council members that are flat out saying this ends, and you can't hypothetically extend it. What happens is this 15-year loan ends. State law says that the millage rate must be decreased.
Right.
And then at that point, what is being stated out there, that council can continue it? No, council would have to then vote to raise debt millage rate, a total separate act. You cannot extend this.
So, John, let me ask you, on a $500,000 or $600,000 home, is approximately $70,000, $80 a year with a sunset clause. Does it go away? Does that go away after 15 years?
Wait. So $500,000 home would be $80 for 15 years, which would be about $1,200. Does what go away?
After that sunset clause, does it go away after 15 years?
Yes, because it by state law, once the debt is paid off, state law requires you to reduce the debt millage rate. Our CFO, I can send you that video. Our CFO plainly town council meeting.
Yes, sir. So let me ask you this. So does the town ordinance say when the tax hike actually expires?
The one that was submitted to the one that the mayor signed and was submitted?
Yes, sir.
Is that what it does? I've asked why we didn't state that in there, and they said it could have been stated in there. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that we put it out to market. Here's the debt. Here's the years that we're putting the bond out for. It's a 15-year bond, and I don't know. I've been in this a year. Had I known that could be added, I would have added it. I would have thought that those with experience and those that put their signature on it should have maybe put that on there.
Okay, John, let me ask you this. Please forgive me, but do you believe the referendum is totally worded on the ballot?
I believe that it worded correctly.
Should have been
totally worded.
Yeah, should have been totally, yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, there's attorneys that get paid to do this, right? So there's instances when you don't word it correctly on the ballot, it can be overturned. So I think you're walking on eggshells when you have to do the wording correctly. I think you can only put so much and you can't put so little. So would it be nice to put, you can't put a positive connotation and you can't put a negative connotation. You just have to list exactly what it is. Yeah. And then the citizens have to go look at the projects and find out what they are, which you can find out at voteparks.org.
Right. So Okay, a $500,000 assessment of a home today, if it hits 15% maximum each time, would it be over 760,000 in say 2035?
Well, 15% assessment on a $500,000 home would just be 575,000. That would turn a $500,000 home into a $570,000 tax assessed home, correct? Is that what you're stating? I mean, I could do the quick math.
Oh,
but
no
I mean,
worries.
$500,000 on, I hope I didn't disappear from you, but
Oh no, I got
500,
you.
you know, you could, I would advise seeing your tax accountant on this, but 1.15% increase on a $500,000 home should be $575,000, which it is, and then you take that $575,000 and you multiply that by 1.15% again in 5 years. If it were to max out, right, it would be $661,000. And then if you do it one more time, if it maxed out, your home would be worth $760,000. Now I can go to my handy dandy sheet over here based on, I have a sheet. So we're talking about on a $500,000 home, on a $500,000 tax assessed home, your total bill is probably $2,032.90. Your Mount Pleasant portion of that is approximately 34.3%. If you said yes to this referendum, it would take your taxes from $2,032.90 to $2,112.90. Okay, so that's on your $500,000 home. And then, but remember, you're paying down the debt quicker now, right? Because you're putting more towards the principal. So if your home goes to 575, you are now paying $2,313.85. If you put the referendum through, you'd be paying $2,405.85. That would be $92 now and not $80. So now you'd have $12 going towards principal. And then, am I boring you with this? I'm
No,
kind of a numbers guy.
No, yeah.
And then that's $661,250 if you're stating there's another maxed out property tax valuation. At $661,250, your total tax bill is $2,636.94. If were to go through, and it would go to $2,742.74. You could round up at 7.
Right.
And that would increase your reference in 80 cents. So that would be putting another $25.80 towards the principal. So we'd be paying this down quicker. It's a fixed amount. Therefore, now do this the other way and put 4 millage rates through with 5 votes. You don't have to state exactly where the money is going. It could go into the general fund. And where a referendum says this money must be used for this, Yes. Okay. And it starts at the top and it works its way down, utilize that money. Where 4 millage rates increased and the assessments come through and you keep giving more money. There's no end to that. There's no direction that has to be given on that. So to me, referendum's the best way to put it.
And I know the referendum says income from the tax hike can be used for ongoing maintenance and operations of the facilities. So what's the ongoing maintenance and operation that is of the facilities right now in Mount Pleasant?
What is
what's the ongoing maintenance right now and the operations of those facilities?
Well, so we run recreation and we run public services. Public services budget is what is included in recreation upkeep. This has $500,000 built in to the referendum for ongoing maintenance and upkeep. I mean, they're going to have to budget this in, and public services will have to budget that in.
And I know the referendum also states that maintenance and operations never end. Is that true?
That maintenance never ends?
Yes, sir. The maintenance and operations never end.
Well, maintenance on something never ends. That's correct. But the referendum will end.
Okay. And can you tell me what the plans are to upgrade the actual pools, not locker rooms and offices, because that means nothing to the swimmer, of course. And can you also tell me the amount of money planned on being allocated from this possible tax levy?
Levy, wow, but big, huh? I like it. I like it. Well, it does. I mean, the pool itself is not. And by the way, this is the Park West recreational pool.
I love it out there.
We get some phone calls. Why are we redoing the HOA Park West HOA pool? It's not the Park West HOA pool. This is Park West Recreation Center pool.
Right.
Right now it puts all the monies will be given on the locker rooms and the changing rooms and things of that sort. Right now, what you do is, when you go to that pool, you walk through the changing room. Even if you're just a visitor going to watch your grandchild swim. I've seen a lot of people out there, and you got 5 or 6 people changing in the changing room, and it's not a very, it's a very open changing room, if you will. And you have 50, 60 visitors going through the locker room. It's not the best. And if you have a father taking their girl, their daughter, the daughter goes through their changing room, the father goes through in the opposite. So it's not a good situation, and it needs to be remedied for sure.
And so, let me ask you this, Mr. John. Do you know? So, does neither? Will this be? Will this be a temporary property tax hike?
Yes.
Okay.
It's temporary because it ends in 15 years.
And the referendum is reportedly advisory only and does not end the tax hike. Is that true?
You mean what the mayor is touting?
Yes, sir.
I believe what the CFO and the number of awards, 20 years of awards, I believe that we've received on correct reporting in the town of Mount Pleasant. I'll be happy to share that with you, all the plaques that are hanging on the wall, because they do such a great job. And when the CFO gets up and the CFO spends time with me explaining what a referendum is, and when the town attorney explains to me what the referendum is, that is what I believe. And when you go to the municipal classes, which I just went to a municipal class, and they explain what a referendum is, like in Municipal 101, and that is it is a loan that ends. That is what I tend to believe. So when I go to the July town council meeting and I listen to the CFO speaking to us, and she says it's a 15-year loan that ends, that is what I believe.
And so at this point, does the town have no choice but to roll back the millage once the $50 million in bonds have actually been repaid?
That is correct. Once the debt is paid, they must roll back the millage rate.
Is the town only able to collect the money that is owed to pay off the bonds?
You mean, can they put their hands in it for other reasons? Is that the question? Can they put their hand in the cookie jar for other? No. No, that's what's great. So what's great about referendums.
Just wanted to make sure.
What he's going for.
Yeah, clarification for the viewers. No worries.
Clarification.
Yes, sir. And so what would the town do with the excess money they'll be collecting?
Well, there's an entire list. There's an assumption of excess. I mean, I think they've done a great job of calculating out these figures. I don't know that there's going to be excess, but if there is excess, it would continue to go for recreation.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's its intended use. I don't know that assuming excess is a big assumption.
Now, so if the town has been collecting millions a year in impact fees, why has the recreation center pool located in Park West and at the R.L. Jones right there off of Long Point been so neglected by so many, according to so many people and the residents?
Well, the impact fees just really kind of started, and I've got that paperwork. That impact fees really were kind of rewritten, I believe, in 2018.
Oh, okay. Very recent.
And the thing about so first of all, we've got to understand something. Like Carolina Park, that ended up being a big plan development, right? Park West ends up being a big plan development. I believe, and Gary Santos would know much more than I do, because he's been here longer. I believe when developing like Park West, I believe that development gave the land for schools and Park West recreation to the town. Well, that had value to it. So that was an upfront value, if you will, right? So what happens like Carolina Park, Park West, if they were to build once once they've paid kind of that upfront fee in land value, and they may have done some impact assessment back then, Carolina Park, if you build 600 houses there right now, those businesses that are going out there on Carolina Park,
oh yeah,
that's no impact fees. No more impact fees. So people see these 600 houses going, they see these businesses going, they say, what about those impact fees? Those impact fees for like a Carolina Park, they were paid up in the beginning.
Right.
Therefore, the new buildings do not have impact fees. They don't. So over the last, since 2018, because we act like this is, somebody's acting like this is a lot of money, the recreational development impact fee that was brought in 2000 and, I'll start at 18, I apologize. In 2018, was $522,190, of which $100,000 went to general obligation debt, okay? And $422,000 went to the Carolina Park Phase 3, okay? Carolina Park Phase 3. This is a $50 million. It's a $50 million. We have $150 million approved, which means it was voted on CIP, okay? We have $150 million. This referendum is $50 million of that. So you're talking about recreation development impact fees brought in 2018 of $522,190, of which $422,000 went to Carolina Park Phase 3. $100,000 went to general obligation bond, to debt. It went to the general obligation bond. You could only put X amount into debt services. Recreation development impact fees in 2019, Carolina Park Phase 3, $512,000. We're getting ready to build Carolina Park Phase 3 out here very shortly. But this money was set aside for that. $100,000 to the debt obligation bond. That's $612,000. Again, what's $600,000 into $50 million? We're talking about 100 years. Right? What's 500? I'm sorry, 500,000 into $50 million is 100 years. Is that math not correct? It's not 10 years. That's $5 million, right? So it'd be 100 years to get $50 million this way, for 500,000. 2020 development impact fees on recreation. Carolina Park Phase 3, we set aside another $624,285. I apologize. And again, $100,000 went to debt bond. So you can put $100,000. Obviously, we're starting to see a pattern here. And in 2021, we brought in on the recreation development $702,552, of which $150,000 went to Mount Pleasant Way, $100,000 went to debt bond, and $452,000 went to Carolina Park Phase 3. Carolina Park Phase 3. You're talking about, we're getting ready to do Phase 3. You're talking about 4 years. 4 years of the development impact fees going to that. And it won't even pay for the whole thing. It's 4 years just on one small project.
Yeah, I was out in work. I was out in Park West in Carolina Park just Thursday for work, so I know all about what's going on out there. So let me ask you this: is there a plan to fix and update the town-owned pools without a new tax?
Fix up all the recreation centers now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a slow process. I believe that you have 7 council members that chose to vote yes to put this on the referendum.
Yeah.
I have 6 council members that signed off on a letter that went to the Post and Courier op-ed. Happy to share that with you.
Oh yeah.
I believe that we have a pro-recreation council right now, obviously by those votes. I think we could do everything in our power to continue to better it. I spearheaded a commission, the Recreation Commission, and that was to give a really powerful voice to the people, so that we can concentrate on those individual items, on those individual sports. There's an aquatics. We have an aquatics representative. We have a rectangular field, diamond field, therapeutic. We've got all kinds of bikes and pathways. So we have 12 members on there. that are there to lend their tennis and pickleballs on there. There are 12 members that are there that are in the trenches every day of these sports and therapeutic and things of that sort. They're in it every day, so their voice and their opinion and what they see needs to be improved is going to make a huge impact. We've got them around for 18 months, so let's see what we can do.
Now, how many more mills are currently available for tax increases after the required rollback after the 5-year reassessment?
How many years? Well, we rolled back, 3.5 mills, right? So the mills, so in no way am I our CFO. I'd love to have her next to me on this. But so what happens is based on debt millage and you're allowed to raise millage rates X amount of mills per year. Now you can bank them. So meaning if you don't raise them, and by rolling back, if you don't raise them, you can bank X amount. I think we have the ability. I think it's between 4 and 6 mills that we could raise right now, so without going into debt millage, just flat out.
Flat out. So is there enough banked millage that could easily exist in 15 years to allow, say, 4 mills that is to continue after the bond is retired?
So you're saying in 15 years, will we have enough millage rate to raise? I can't assume what's going to. Me, unlike some other people, don't assume what's going to happen in 15 years because I don't know what the council's going to do. Is there going to be debt millage available? Do we want to use debt millage? Right? You could use up to 8. We have 8% available that we could raise, but that's our rainy day fund.
Right.
And I think Howard Chapman came out in an op-ed on that. Like no, we're not looking to borrow that. That's your Hurricane Ian comes through. Can we get 30 million right now by doing that? I think we can get up to 30 million right now by doing that. But that's our rainy day fund. We're talking about keep it in simple terms, right? KISS. I like KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's for me, not anybody else. But you're redoing your house. You want to paint one wall at a time. You want to put one tile in a time, 10 tiles at a time, or do you want to do your whole house at one time, move out for a little bit, gut your house, redo it, and move in, and you don't have to touch it again for 20 years. You know what I mean? I mean, that is the difference here. Do you want to do one room, one bathroom, a kitchen at a time, or do you want to do your entire house? And plenty of people take out a second mortgage on their home to make that happen. And that's you're going to pay for it all up front, so it gets done. We've had almost 30,000 people move here since 2010. Almost 30,000 people moved here since 2010. We haven't opened up a new park 2011, Carolina Park, since then. There's towns that only have 30,000 people in it. So we've had 30,000 people and we haven't given them a park. I'm 1 mile away from Mount Pleasant Waterfront. I've got my park, if you will, right? You've got Carolina Park. We're redoing this. A lot of people out there that need extra space. Middle Mount Pleasant. Tell me where the children are riding their bike and running to and walking to. Tell me where the park is. It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. So when I speak to people and they're at Alhambra Hall, and I ran into a lady and she was at Alhambra Hall throwing her ball with her dog, and I said, "What do you think about this?" She said, "Well, I'm voting no. My children are grown. I don't have any grandchildren here. I don't need a park in rifle range. I live in Old Village." I said, "But ma'am, at some point, somebody had the vision to preserve the very park that you are standing in so that today you could throw the ball with your dog. When are we going to do that for the generation in Middle Mount Pleasant? When are we going to take care of the generation now? How many generations are we willing to give up park space for these children to be outside?" I mean, I don't use a senior center, but I believe wholeheartedly in having a senior center. And possibly the second one, arts is in here. We talk about art space in this. It's not a gym building. It's a multi-use building. I believe in multi-use buildings. We talk about art space in there. We talk about an outdoor amphitheater in there as well. So it's I think it's very important that we understand that as a community, we come together for the betterment of all. That is what a community is, right? It's for the betterment of all.
And my last question, and I try getting him on Quintin's close-ups, but I don't think he will come on and join me. But the mayor has been out on the campaign trail against this reportedly. But in May, he was reportedly for this referendum for recreation from the town council meeting that I watched. So why is he apparently against this now?
I don't know. I mean, if you watch that council meeting, he talks about and I won't direct quote it, but you watched it, and I could play it because it's all over social media. Are we voting to put a tax referendum on the ballot, or are we voting to pass a tax referendum? I believe we're trying to pass a tax referendum. And I've paraphrased there, but I think that's pretty close. And also spoke about not only having it not on this ballot, but putting it on next year's ballot when less voters turn out to a municipal ballot in order to sway the vote to get it to pass with less people, where GM Whitley said, absolutely not. We have a great, and you can see me shaking my head, and I can't remember if I responded, but I believe 100% with Mrs. Whitley on this, and the fact that let's put it out to the most voters. Obviously, a presidential election would have even more, but we don't have one of those, but for another couple of years. So put it to the most voters. Don't put it on a ballot where the least amount of people turn up. Who says that? This is democracy at its finest.
So let me ask you this: Does the recreation impact fees, are those to improve infrastructure, not taxes on residential homes?
I know the recreational impact fees were put in place. And remember, it's an impact fee, right? How much more building is going to happen in Mount Pleasant? So now we're assuming that there's going to be all this building in Mount Pleasant, but
I don't think you all have land left.
Not much left. I mean, you're going to have some redevelopment in which there'll be some impact fees on redevelopment, depending.
Right.
It's not always, that's not guaranteed, but the impact fees are for new. They're not for upkeep. They must be utilized for new, for new things. So I guess I just kind of went a little sideways. Repeat your question again.
No worries. So does recreation impact fees, are those to improve infrastructure and not taxes on residents' homes?
Well, I don't understand taxes on residents' home. I mean, the impact fee is I guess you would say that's a one-time fee to the builder, but it's passed on to the, right. Yes, let's brag about impact fees being able to do this like they're not a tax, but it's an impact fee on a builder that gets passed on to the consumer. I mean, they don't just poof disappear like, oh wow, $2,000 impact fee for me to build this home. Oh, I'm the developer. I'll eat that fee. They're going to pass it on to the consumer or the purchaser of the home. So you can say that it's not a tax, but how is an impact fee not a tax? It's getting passed on to the consumer. So but it has to be used for new. It is not used for upkeep, which is why Carolina Park Phase 3 isn't started yet, but for 4 years we've been piling money for it.
Right. Well, I thank you for explaining all of this to the viewers. I really do appreciate your time. I know you're busy. So, and then again, thank you for coming back on Quintin's Close-Ups to explain this complicated situation here.
Boatparks.org, please. And, anybody can email me a question or call me. I'll be happy to give you my town council phone numbers, 843-806-6564. And my email is JIACO, F as in Frank, ANO at TOMP. Is it TOMPSC.com. So please feel free to contact me. Happy to answer any questions. Vote either way you want. Vote yes, vote no. The important thing is you're able to vote on this, but get the facts first.
Mount Pleasant Town Councilman John Iacafano, thank you for your time and welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
See you later. Bye.
Likewise.